potent advice, and inspiration from real self-made millionaires. Welcome to The Eventual Millionaire with your host, Jamie Masters.
Welcome to Eventual Millionaire. I'm Jamie Masters, and today on the show we have Rosetta Bryson. She is the founder of Simple Trader Pro. You can check them out at simpletraderpro.com. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
I love your story and how you started, because you're actually a bishop, it looked like. I was reading your story. You have such a diverse background. I know. Can you tell me a little bit more?
How far back do you want to go?
Give me bits and pieces all the way through.
I grew up in the Midwest, Kansas City, Missouri, and ended up going to Washington, D.C. for school, and ended up going to a HBCU, Historical Black College and University, at Washington, D.C. Then I got accepted to Emory in Atlanta, and I was going to Emory because Emory had the only program which was dual law and which is a Juris Doctorate and a ministry, MDiv. So you could do both in like 3 to 5 years. I was like, let's go. And while I got there, I've always been interested in business because I'm one of those students, unlike some of you, I had to put myself through school. So we didn't come from a rich family. There was no, there was no money.
I know what that's like. Yeah, exactly.
There was no chest board. There was none of that. I was the middle child of 5. And I think they got through a couple semesters with the oldest child and like everybody else, you're on your own. So on my own, ended up going to undergrad. I paid for because I worked 40 hours and went to school 40 hours. I mean, I was just a typing temp. I did temp work. I temp 40 hours a week. If you can believe, you can find a temp. But I had a good thing. I could type really, very quick. And I was good at answering the phones, so Morgenstein, whatever it was, James and Morgenstein, I just had to memorize it. And I was very good. But then it gave me the business, I like, what are these business? So every day these people would come in the morning and they would pick up their Wall Street journals and blah, 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 blah. So I just became acquainted with it. And then I went to, I grew up in a house that was always, a Christian household. And so I'm not afraid to tell anybody, even as a CEO, I'm a believer. And I just thought that's where my life was carrying me. I wasn't sure. That's why I did the Juris Doctorate and the Master Divinity and see where it's going to, anyways, took the Master Divinity, got the Master Divinity and immediately went down that field. But there was something pulling me over here towards business. And the doors just opened up that way. So I always call myself the accidental CEO.
You are a seeker of knowledge. Law and ministry are very different.
What can I say? I didn't know which way I wanted to go. So let me just try straight. It never hurt to have something in your back pocket. As a woman, I'd never felt like I was going to be given the same access as men in ministry. They were just going to try to pigeonhole me. They were going to try to do such and such, and so I just, I felt like I needed something in my back pocket, which was law, and ended up not going that direction, but ended up really focusing on the Master Divinity, went back to DC, became over religious affairs for the city, which means working through the mayor's office in the White House. And after that, ended up going back to Florida, ordained a bishop. So a real life bishop, but people call me bishop because it's a move on the chessboard in trading. So there we go.
Oh, that's a good point too. I didn't even know that. So how do you get to Simple Trader Pro then?
So I tell this is my one de facto story. So I went to an HBCU, which was just the University District of Columbia, small school back then. You had to go to a gym and registered. You just in and out, blah, blah, blah. Plus, I was a student that put myself through school. So I wasn't around everybody all the time. But then I got accepted to Emory. My last year of school, I was elected the student government president, talker. The talker I was. And so I got to get through that, applied to Emory, got into Emory. But Emory is known as the Harvard of the South. So I went on this campus and my mind was just like blown. They had this gym that was bigger than our whole university and just this huge amount of Woodruff money, just dripping in money. I mean, pools, yachting, lacrosse and, there was no lacrosse where I was from and, all of that, get to this huge gym and, I handed my papers and I realized there was 2 lines. There was the lines where everybody was over there and their parents were taking them to school and they were in that line and, they were buying the books and bam, MasterCard, Visa, American Express, and just paid off. And the kids were, we were always latchkey kids. I was in the other line. And the other line I called the sign your life away line, because you had to pay tuition, housing, books, everything before you ever took one class. I was in debt. And I thought to myself, I'm in the wrong line. How did I get in that line? How do I get out of the line? And how do I make sure everybody that I know never has to sit in this line? So from there, I knew that I wanted to do business. And one of my friends, his father, my father has his own hedge fund, consider, just sort of dropping in or working for the summer, consider. So I worked for the summer. I was an intern, and it changed my life. So sometimes you just invest in yourself enough to say, you know what? I think they expected me to be gone after the first week. I was there every day. I met the CEO on his way in. Hey, yeah. So he would always let her in the room, let her hear. She wants to hear. So because there just was no one like me. The change came when they let me learn the first year. The second year, I thought I knew. I went back and learned, knew more. They liked me. You got to be likable. And then they would pull all these young men in from, and I say men, Harvard, MIT, Princeton, Brown, Yale, Wharton, come in, Series 7 license, and they couldn't trade. And they would say, send them to Rosetta. Let her teach you how to trade. And I was like, what? So from there, it's something nobody else wanted to do, but in the end, everybody wanted to know how I did it, because I would say, put everything out of your mind, learn it my way. And so they asked me to come with them, and I said no, because I was on a different trajectory. But then they asked me, teach us what you teach them, and I said no. I'm do it myself. That's Simple Trader Pro.
Wow. So were you always good at teaching people things, like simplifying stuff, or did you find that out then?
Well, I think that I'm one of 5 kids. That's the beauty of being one of 5 kids. You've got to fit in where you get in. And because I think there's something about having a little gritty background, little, dirt under, you got to work at whatever you can work it. I'm up here trying as a student to go to school, put myself through school, didn't ask anybody for money, no books, so I had to be savvy, and I knew when to speak up and I knew when to be quiet. And so having said that, my savvy is what I think in the grittiness, I think people can respect that. Just like we don't have it all, but I'm up here trying. So.
Well, especially starting a business, right? When you technically have no business background, is a whole new venture in itself. So give me a short story of how it started
about
to
that.
now.
So I went back to Florida after after I worked at the White House. I went to Florida, and right after 9/11, went to Florida, was pastoring a church there. So there's a business there. There's the business of the church. I sit on several boards. I was on, this board, that board in the community. I sit on all boards. I was the board, just blah. So I was board, BORED, on the BOARD. So, and I just we would start our own nonprofit. The church would. So we ran those, and they were great for the church. But in 2016, I was at a point where I was like, it's got to be more than this. What is that more for me? And I've always traded, and I loved it. Now, some people and I've always used it as a method to, here's extra cash, blah, blah, blah. But the people were getting good. I created my own method, back tested it, and I knew it was good because we took people who had never traded before. Let's see if you can make money. And they did. And so, first of all, you have to love what you do. If you don't love it, don't do it. I get excited about going to work every day. Most people can't say that. I do. So, I love trading.
And the forefront, like, it's a competitive market. Even in 2016, it was a really competitive market. So how did you start learning, especially online marketing and that kind of thing, for where you are now?
I don't think it's as competitive I think it's as competitive now, more so. But back then, when I was saying, come on, let me teach you how to trade, they're like, oh, no, who cares? Nobody does that, blah, blah, blah. And they would listen to all the stuff. Nobody makes money. That's gambling, all sorts of stuff that people have been told because they're not educated. I'm like, listen, people make so much money. The group that I was with, because I started in commodities, they were like, listen, there's only so much money a man can make in a day. So let's be at tennis or golf by 12 noon. They would have made hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they were at tennis and golf by 12 noon. And I was like, there's only so much money. What? So, to just to see it whiz by, I know that it's true. I had to convince people. But then when 2020 came, we had started the open January 2017. We were profitable day one. And so that garnered people's attention. I knew people in the business in terms of institutional traders. They wanted somebody to know something. They would send them to me. I ran my course. They ran my course. I have a live trade room with hundreds of people that come every day to listen to me and what I have to say in terms of trading. And so I think our valuations and are just in our knowledge of the game, we have the best company. We've bought our own AI company, which allows us then to do everything that they do on Wall Street, but for the retail trader. And I think that that's a step above what anybody else is doing. And I just think that when people are honest about what they do, they're honest brokers, people will flock to you, and people have been flocking. So that's what's happening.
How'd you buy an AI company? That sounds killer.
I was doing AI because we wanted to expand our internal reach on how we do our own analytics, and the company was going under. And I was like, let me just buy you. You. So that was me going from 2 people to 13. So it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When was that?
That was December 2020.
Okay.
Close.
So having a whole new team and tell me a little bit more about that. I'm obsessed with like AI and anything having to do with the future of technology. So tell me a little bit more about what sort of things that you guys have been diving into.
I think there's only so much I can say, but because it's some stuff is proprietary, but I will tell you this. We can sort of, and we're not the only ones, but we can sort of tell a trader what's going to happen based on history and where we predicted out in the future in terms of where to get in and out of a trade. And most people won't even put their mouth there. We have people, I'll just say it like this. We have people who have never made more than 50,000, who have gone 3 or 4 straight years of making 6 figures. We've had people who have made 6 figures, who have made money in trading, lost money in trading, now are 7-figure people. So we're doing something. Our technology is doing something. Plus, I feel like once a week somebody tries to hack us, so we must be doing something. And all my firewalls that I have to pay for to stay up need to stay up. So
okay, tell me a little bit more about marketing and like how you find your customers, because you're mostly all online now. I know before you were like networking and stuff. Is it more networking or is it online marketing? Tell me a little more.
Well, this is very interesting because I originally started with the group that I started with, and people hear me talk about it. I've always said, why did you start it? Because I'm the only one in the room that looked like me. There weren't women, and there especially were not Black women, and they just were not there. And so I thought, I've got to have a way. But everybody, the guys are the ones, the young guys, they're the ones that are sent. So they don't have, so I figured that I need to have more people like me in the room. And so that's been diversity has been before the marches, before the Black Lives Matter. I was always about women and people, brown and Black people of color, having access to this $4 trillion a year business that never closes down. So the access is not given. And I just need the access to be given to people like me so that they can change your destiny. I believe that trading gives people the opportunity to dream. A lot of people, they go to work 9 to 5, they drive the same way there, they drive the same way home. They know they're on a fixed income, even though they're not saying it's a fixed income. They know that they have 2 kids, a dog, a house payment, a mortgage payment. They're paying off student loans. They quit dreaming. And they see people take a vacation every quarter. They see people doing what they want to do in life. And so I say, learn to trade because it's that valuable. Then you can use that money to go invest and do what you want to do. Some people flip houses. Some people, love to travel. Whatever it is you want to do, trading is that vehicle that does it. It gives you the ability to dream. And so when people ask me what I do, I say, I give people the ability to dream. Yeah.
How did you get in front of the diverse audience, especially online?
I think that people heard about us, and then we started getting interviews in different places. I think that in the big scheme of things, we got on, Bloomberg, Yahoo Finance, CNBC. We've been a lot of places. People just hear about us, and because there's no one in this space that occupies it like we do, then they tell and some other people tell. So we've been in the newspapers, we've been everywhere.
So press really works, because for some companies, press is just, I've been on Yahoo's homepage 6 times and I did not get a ton of stuff from it, but that was for me. So for you
Wow.
actually get leads and stuff
Yes.
like that through it?
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. What doesn't give us, I know that people are going to be stunned. What doesn't give us the gravitas that people think it does is all this internet stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This internet media. I'm like, what did we get from that? Absolutely nothing. Not one person came, joined. They go to our, but being within the walls. And so there's a different move for real traders and how brokers and they interact. That's not a media,
Well, that's what I was surprised at. I was checking out your website and stuff, and I'm a geek, so I'm like looking at the sales page, and I was like, you don't have like a whole funnel built out. You don't have a whole bunch of the internet things that most people have. That's why I was.
And then when most people come to us, because one of the things that I believe is, you got to see it to believe it. So I'll give people one day you get one opportunity, come see us trade live. And when they see all the people, if I put them in the big room or I have a smaller room and they see what we do, they are just mesmerized. But so I'm not a waster, but that has never been that way, that Google, YouTube, IG, if that works for you, and maybe it will work for us at a different phase, but it's never stopped us because we have an average of around 670 people on with us every day from all over the world.
That's awesome.
Period.
See, we can still do it without just internet stuff, people. It's so funny because that's what usually they're like, ooh, paid traffic. And it's really hard in the fintech space with paid traffic. So that's why I had to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, tell me a little bit more about School Z, because I know especially you really try to give back. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, we're working with several colleges in Florida. And what we do is we try to use places on their campus. And we try to grab kids that are underprivileged in middle school. I believe I can't wait to high school. If I can teach you to trade, just like people code, trade. If I can teach you how to trade, I always tell people they will never be on drugs. They will never sell a drug. They will never be on drugs. They will never have an issue with going to school. If they can learn to trade, they will never be broke. They will never be poverty. They will be homeowners. I believe that if I could just catch them early, I don't have to worry about them going to college and then coming out in debt. I wouldn't, so we do 3 years where we work with people, and we're working with some bigger banks to go beyond that. So we're trying to go beyond the 3 years as you get into high school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We're trying to get you now so that when you go to high school, you have somebody to, under your wings to do some internships at some big banks, whether it be Citi, JP Morgan, Chase, some of the bigger banks, Wells Fargo. If we can get you in there, and then we can help you get through college with the caveat that these kids have been with us for 6 years. Now, can we make sure that they get through college and you employ them when they come out? They already know your culture. They already know the culture of the company. So we're trying to see what we do. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do the kids have to have any specific skill set, or everything's sort of learnable and tradable? They don't have to love math versus not loving math, right?
Matter of fact, that is the most misconstrued thing. When I hear it all the time, I hear people say, well, I'm not that good at math. You don't have to be. And there's so many myths about trading that are lies. First of all, you don't have to have a lot of money to trade. I've got to have 50,000. I'm not rich enough to trade. You do not have to have a lot of money to trade. And I just put it like this. I can teach you 3 things, and you probably have heard me say it. I can teach you how to trade anywhere in the world. I can teach you how to trade and never lose your principal. And I can teach you how to trade your way out of an ordinary life into an extraordinary life. So those are the 3 things I promise. And I think if you could get past all the myths about it being gambling, about it being just hard to do, about, just come and learn, and your life will be changed. Yeah.
Let me know, especially when I have clients and stuff ask me that they want to give back. Like they're very into philanthropy, but it's always like, but when we're like this, then I'll give back. So how do you split your focus? Because this is sort of like a piece of who you are, right? You have to give back, it seems like. So how can you give some advice for people that are like, oh, I know I really want to do something within the company structure to give back, but I'm afraid it'll take up too much time or anything like that. So that way they know. What was
Tell
that?
me, I'm misunderstanding your question.
So,
We have
so business owners that have 6-7 figure businesses, so they know what they're doing,
yes.
but they're also potentially burned out or working really hard. And they're like, well, I want to start this whole separate thing, but I don't want to have the team be focused on that and then disregard the other stuff that we have to work on. But I really want to give back sooner rather than later. They usually kick that can down the road for a while. And like, eventually I will. When I'm more successful, I will. And
Well,
you're doing
I can't wait for that to be more successful. So what we do is in the summer, we take our whole staff and we just decamp on the campus on the, we're asking for, the dorm rooms, the open room, the conference room, so that we can have these kids. And then, we take them to the zoo and all of that in there too, and movies and all of that. It's a 2-week intensive where they can learn the skills of trading and be excited about being a trader and know what that looks like and have an aim for the future. I can't wait. So one of the things that it has to be part of your DNA as part of the company. This is what we do. And for those who don't have time, find people like me so into us. We do not trying to sell anything. We do a once a year, silent auction where I ask all the banks, buy it, 2 tables, $20,000. So these kids can come so that they can have the uniform, so they can have the shirt, so they can have the experience, so they can be excited, just like being a doctor, lawyer, baller, shot caller. They can come into this industry because it's never been given. I don't know if you know how many Black people are not in the industry and the access that is not given to people of color. So people are hearing me speak, but let me give you an example, if I may.
Yes, please.
If you're a regular, just if you're a regular person and you have over, $400,000, $500,000 in your bank account, then you get a personal banker. You don't have to go through the front door. You can go through the side doors. Here's some keys for the bank. What do you want to do with your money? How do you want to invest it? Where do you want to sit it? Right? When Black people have that or people of color have that, they usually think they've either sold a house, come into some money, won the lotto, and they don't even ever offer it.
That blows.
That is horrible. And so then there are the group, and I have to share with this to you. I have more doctors and lawyers in my group than that just blows your mind because they've been so busy working, they let other people handle their money. So here's a chance to learn it, and they are just blown away. We're in the rugby, come on. And then we teach you not only how to trade, but how to do business. Because if you don't know how to do business correctly, you'll be paying, capital gains tax. Do you know how to trade out of your IRA, your Roth IRA? Do you know how to set up the correct LLC? Do you have the right? Because let me just be very clear, a regular broker of doing your taxes, tax work is not going to know anything about trading. They don't know what a wash sale is. You should be having, thousands of dollars back. You don't even have any because they don't know how traders work. Because this is what people don't know. If in trading, if you lose, you win. Just straight up. If you lost $400,000 on a trade and you didn't trade it again for the next 30 days, that is right off a bowl. You get it back.
Great. Tell me more. Tell me more about that.
You didn't know about that?
No.
Oh, lots to tell. That's just the business of trading. You have to know the business part as well as the physical part of entering and exit a trade. So if you just wanted to know entering and exit a trade, then we're not the people for you. I can teach you how to short. I can teach you how to, be bullish. I can teach you those things. I can teach you how to set it up so that you will never lose your principal. But if you want to really, you're coming into this, like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And I love it because most people I will tell you, for the last couple of years, I've made my money in the first 3 minutes and I'm done. The bell rings at 9:30. By 9:33, I'm done.
So you do golf and tennis, right? Like everybody. So when you do that, because you do your own trading anyway, and then you teach people how to be able to do
I
that, do
do.
you do it based on what you're doing? Like, do you tell people what you do or no?
Well, my stuff is proprietary,
Hmm.
so I can tell you, but I have to kill you, and you have to sign a confidentiality. Let me just get it right: confidentiality, non-compete, non-solicitation. There's about four other ones in there.
A lawyer
They
comes out.
must
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So in there, I know you said you have a daily live thing. So what are you guys talking about on your daily live?
Well, at the bell rings at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time every day that the market is open. About 8:45, my crew, my team comes on, and we just tell you everything within every sector, what's happening. We tell you what is moving, what's not moving, because we've been up and we've already done the overnights. We can tell you, don't listen to the procrastinators on TV. This is what's going to make money today, and we're very good at it.
You look very excited over that. That's awesome. I know we have to start wrapping up. So I want to ask the last question. What is
Well,
one?
that was quick.
I know, right? Snappy. What is one action listeners can take this week to help move them forward towards their goal of 1 million?
Think of number one, think of 2 million, because 1 million after taxes is only half
Right?
you're up the goal. Number one, ladder up, because that goal is going to get you nowhere. You can't buy a house, an apartment. Just the goal is too low. So that's number one, up the goal. Number two, I have this thing where I say, life is an opportunity. Take it. You plan for it, you work for it. There's an open door, go through the door. If it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out, but you went through the door. So quit double guessing yourself. Life is an opportunity. Take it. Take the opportunity.
I love it. And 11 years ago, when I started this podcast, $1 million was worth so much more than it is today. So maybe I should change that last question. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Where do we find out more about you online?
Well, let me just say again, I think everyone should have the opportunity to see what we do, to see in real time, live time, how we make money. So invite you to go to simpletraderpro.com. It'll ask you, do you want any questions, or do you want to come to our free day of a live trade room? We'll give you one opportunity to come. So sign up. We'd love to see you there. Come trade live with us for one day, or watch us. And then if you have any questions, just type it in there. We've got people in that realm that will get back to you immediately. Just type in a question. I want to know how to do this. What does it cost? What does it mean? How does it work? We want all your questions answered. We don't pressure anybody. I just think that you ought to be very confident that when you come, this is what I want to do. And I'm doing it as a step forward, and especially women. I think it's just awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
If you enjoy this show, I would really appreciate your wonderful words of feedback. Go leave me a review. I would love a rating, whatever you can do in the time that you've got. I would so appreciate it.